What's going on, people? Jonah here. Today I'm bringing a video that I can't seem to find online, so I'm just going to make it myself. Today's video is about harmonic sounds, and I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make harmonic sounds. Well, we're going to be taking a look at least two synthesizers. The first synthesizer will be Harmor, so let's get that open. Sim Special, Harmor, drag that in. And we're also going to be looking at Toxic Biohazard as well. So I'm going to just throw those in, and I'm just going to set them to the default preset. Close that and just make this default as well. Okay. So for the Harmor, we're going to be doing a subtractive harmony, and I'll show you what that looks like. And for Toxic, we're going to be doing a FM harmony, and I'll show you exactly why we're using different ones and what they sort of achieve. Okay. All right, so to begin, we're going to be working with the Harmor, which is a subtractive synthesizer, which means that you're removing frequencies to create harmonies. I'm going to mix these to two different channels, and we're going to go into channel 1, and we're going to open up a instance of FabFilter Pro Q3, which is arguably one of the better equalizers out there. Okay, because it allows you to see not only the note you're playing, but you can create really high quality low passes that basically block out any lows and things of that nature, which is extremely useful for what we're going to be doing today. So I'm going to just return this to the typical 24 that you tend to, or sorry, the 12 that you see with most equalizers. Most equalizers work at 12 decibels, and between 12 and 24, that is. And we're going to go back into Harmor, and we want to just delete that actually. And let's hear what we got going on already. It should just be a simple saw wave. And let's analyze the saw wave in the wavetable. So what we have here is the harmonic series. Okay, so we're playing C, C5. This will be G here. Okay, so here is should be around G. Let's see, yeah, G5, then C6, etc., etc. And it's just basically playing the harmonic series, whereby you you multiply the wave by itself. So like 1 to you multiply the wave by itself. So 1 to 100, then 200 to sort of 400, and 400 to 600, and so on, or 400 to 800, etc., 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 and you get the harmonic series. And this principle of a harmony, something a super smooth and ungritty, not gritty harmony, is the removal of the grit itself, which is happening in the upper bands here. Okay, so that's what we're going to sort of toy with. So what we're going to make is we're going to make a high pass filter, or sorry, a low pass filter, and we're going to just set this to brick wall, and we're going to see what happens as we begin to remove these harmonies. So as we remove the harmonies, the sound becomes smoother and smoother as less saw waves are playing, which is of course less noise. And that is the main principle behind music that has soft or smooth harmonics. Typically songs that make you feel spiritual. So the first typical thing you're going to do to make a harmonic sound is apply a bandpass. And a bandpass is you remove the gritty frequencies. So let's remove a bunch of them. Up to about C7, I would say. And then you also want to create a low pass so that there is less bass and more of the harmonies themselves that are usually in the upper range. You want to hear the R sort of sounds rather than the sort of sounds, right? So we're going to apply a high pass at 12 decibels. And we're going to just do that. And smooth this out. We're smoothing this out so it's declining, okay? Might want a more strict decline though. And then of course you add back as many harmonics as you will need. So here, this is good for me, I would say. All right, so once you have your wave, and it's of course more harmonies than basses, and you cut out the grit, then you have to apply, typically to make a smooth sound or a soft sound, then you want to apply one more filter. And this filter is the purpose is just to bring out again the harmonies of the sound that have an RE texture to them, which is going to be around the 1300 range. So let's play C. And let's remove some of those. And depending on what, if you want a little bit of grit in there, you can lower the decibel. Yeah, so that's the basis of the sound, and you might be like, okay, well, that's cool, it could use more work, and you're absolutely right. The next thing we sort of want to do, let's make this steeper. The next thing people typically like to do when making harmonies is decide whether they want to detune the harmonies so they're even softer than before. And detuning them is pretty easy. What you're doing is you're just adding an extra oscillator and then detuning it. And we call that unison. So when you put unison in, you're adding an extra octave, in case this is 2 octaves, or 2 oscillators, sorry. And the second oscillator is slightly detuned from the first. Yeah, and then you can obviously make it even more detuned. I like that. This is a nice sound. So we already have a pretty nice sound, and as you can tell, it's really nice, it's really soft, it's simple, and there's nothing to it, okay? There's nothing like gritty to it or anything like that. And of course, you can add various effects to this, like you can make it more paddy, so it sort of comes in easy. From here on, it's your choice for how you want to modulate the sound. You could add, for example, chorus. When I add chorus, I like to think about the fact that technically we're adding another oscillator onto it that is detuned. So it's one instance of unison that's detuned, but the detune is moving. Okay, so you got to be aware of that. So you might want to do, like, for example, 2 oscillators of unison plus one oscillator of chorus. And then with the chorus, of course, you kind of just have to determine like what speed you want. The speed and the depth are arguably what makes and breaks a chorus. The speed is the rate of pitch change, and the depth is how significant the pitch change is. So we want to maybe decrease the depth. And then for the speed, it depends what sound you're going for, particularly if you want a slower speed. Again, like you want to sort of choose how much of the upper harmonic range, the R aspect, is coming out or present. So you obviously will control that with the 1000 range knob in parametric EQ, or whatever EQ you're using. You want to just control around the 1000 range and just determine, like, to your own preference, how much of the R do you want. I want more R and less E, like which is the one before. So we're gonna put this to steep A, and we're just gonna. And then what you can do in Pro Q3, which is makes it really good, is that you can sort of lower the this harmonic here. What you find with most harmonic sounds is that they typically do have specific aspects of their construction where hardly any frequencies are present, which is what really gives it that significant ethereal vibe. In this case, we've significantly lowered the mud, which in parametric EQ is called the low mid, or the sort of this area around here, which I'd say is the low mid. So the low mid is typically cut out and the mid section is emphasized. And I might increase the speed of the chorus a little bit. A cool perk of the harmonic sounds like this is that you can use them to make bells. So by simply adding, in the case of Harma, a pluck, and bringing the attack back. And you can make it more belly by increasing the frequency, or rather the pitch. We brought it an octave up. From here, it's more of a question of what do you want to do with the sound. If you're happy with this, which I mean, I'm quite happy with this sound, but if you wanted more to the sound, you can think about predominantly focusing on effects. How much you can get done with your synthesizer is more so dependent on the power of that synthesizer. What's possible with it. Sometimes auto tuning, in the case of harmonizer, can make for quite an interesting sound. And then, of course, I would say probably one of the more important things would just be some reverb of your choice. Whatever reverbs you have, they typically work quite nicely. And if you would prefer that the chorus dominates, you can just use the order of the chorus to modulate the unison instead. One thing I would like is maybe for the low end to be a little bit less present. So just adding a ducking crescent here will probably do the job. Another important thing that I find with these sort of harmonic sounds is you want them sort of to dominate the room. So just using some kind of imager is typically a good way of giving the sound even more space than it already has. And trust me, it's already probably quite spacey. So that's how you can make harmonies with like subtractive synthesis. Of course, you can change the waveform, and the waveform will significantly change what it sounds like, essentially. So in Harmony, you have a choice between a saw wave and a square wave. That sounds really nice. So maybe 2 orders of chorus. You typically find with any waveforms that are removing harmonics, the sound becomes more harmonious than it was before. And that's what we're going to be seeing a lot with frequency modulation, which is the ability to more finely tune the waveform that you want without having to have a specific wave pattern. You can grab like wave templates from certain websites. I'll see if I can remember one, but you can grab waveform templates just on like FL Studio form pages or anywhere that's sort of where a bunch of nerds like making them. Let's see, where are they? These are custom waveforms, if I recall. Yeah, so For example, we could get like this and put it just here. Different different algorithms of reverbs can completely change the sound. And be aware that because your sound is going to be so harmonic, distortions can actually add a flavor to your sound that you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else. When you're working with distorters, what you typically find is that the more intense or fuller the frequency that is, the more of the harmonic range it includes, the more difficult it can be to tune a distorter. But in the case of super smooth sounds, adding distortion can sometimes make them better. It just depends. When you're playing your chords and making these harmonies, you have to decide, like, you have to kind of realize like what each note in your chord is contributing. So this is contributing a lot of the mud. So we can sort of reduce that. And then it's just a case of getting the pluck right. And then experimentation, what does it sound like the phaser? And then go into your Pro Q and see what frequencies you really enjoy and would like to be more present. Listen to it in different pitches. Something cool. You can always, if you run out of channels, just route it to another channel and then just keep adding effects. Oh, I didn't mean to open Anderson. Just want to open another EQ and see if I can remove some of the mud. In any case, in all forms of subtractive synthesis, you're going to be subtracting a lot before you get the harmony you want. So don't be scared to apply really heavy filters and readjusting the gain like all the time as well. And remember, you can always use the gain in your actual filter. The only reason I don't like using the gain in the actual filter because sometimes I think it brings back frequencies I don't want. Okay, a point of interest. Okay, so let's use a really powerful EQ. And I want you to see that even though we've subtracted so many waves from this, it still manages to fill the full range. Like, look at this. It's still got there's so many frequencies that are a part of this, all the way up to 3,000 hertz. So yes, we have removed a lot of the waves. That's true, but this chord progression rather still absolutely dominates the EQ. So as you can see, you can take something as simple as a saw wave and turn it into a completely different instrument. So let's see what this sounded like originally. It still sounds really good, but it's not smooth, it's not addictive, it doesn't have that feel to it that it used to. So and let's put it back to one. Doesn't sound like an octave up. So how does that make you feel? For me, it makes me feel sad and happy at the same time. It's a mix of the two. There's contrast, and it really kind of delivers that soft, paddy harmonic that I'm often looking for in my music. See, number one. Ta-da. You can also increase the presence of certain harmonics with this bandpass filter that comes with Harmor. You can also see what Harmor is doing by analyzing the EQ. Let's just put the fab filter one on there, and you can see what it's like, what frequencies it's adding back with the harmonic masking. So let's just have Harmor here and this here. So we can just do it manually. You can use fab filter to do that manually. Modulation here. I'm just gonna throw in a bass, see what it sounds like when it's got some beef to it as well. So let's add another instance of Harmor. Of course, bass is always very simple. Oops, let's put that to default and just bring this all the way down. And then we're gonna just bring this down a octave. And then we're gonna just play a bass. Oh, I want to do it on this one. By removing frequencies, you can make the bass softer. Yeah, so I hope you guys learned something in it and sort of gathered that again, when it comes to making these harmonic sounds, like a lot of it you can just do in a synthesizer, but if you're looking for a really specific kind of harmony, like the one we made today, then you are looking at a lot of sort of like modulation in terms of like adjusting the amplitudes and frequencies to just how you want them. So yeah, I'll catch you guys hopefully in another video.